10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to another episode of Two Dudes in a Spaceship, the show where we talk about science fiction, and occasionally conspiracy theories. I'm Logan Taylor.
Austin Merrill.
And what are we going to talk about today?
Dude, we're talking about 9/11.
I'm so...
Conspiracy theories or die.
Wait, who was that? Matt
Rogers.
Matt Rogers.
Shout out. Dude, homeboy bought me knuckle puck tickets.
Bruh.
Yeah, for my birthday.
But bruh.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
I'm super excited.
That's pretty dope.
Fucking love knuckle puck.
Okay, so you met Kate last weekend,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
She hit me up. It was one of the weirdest text messages I've ever gotten in my life. She was like, "Hey, you wanna go to a concert with me?" I was like, "Sure, let's go to a concert."
I can go to a
She's
concert.
like, "In London?" And I was like,
That escalated quickly.
"England?" She's like, "Yeah, there's this, apparently, I forget what it's called, there's just a big, it's kind of like Warped Tour, but for the UK.
Okay.
Dude, the lineup for this, Jimmy Eat World, fucking Knuckle Puck, Real Friends, I mean, it is...
Stacked.
It's stacked. If I have the money to go, I'm gonna fucking go.
We are dirty punk kids, by the way.
Very dirty punk kids.
So that's, if you have no idea what these bands are, that's why.
You should look.
It's garage punk is basically what it is.
Well, and I had a conversation with somebody recently about punk music, and it was Charlie. You know, because Charlie's quite a bit older than us. I mentioned that before. He's like, yeah, when I think of punk, I think of, well, you know, because he was born in the 70s, so he thinks about 70s punk. We're talking like Sex Pistols and
Right.
the Ramones and dirty punk rock. I was like, well, that kind of turned into skater punk.
Yeah.
And then pop punk kind of fell out of that. All the subgenres of punk are just kind of interesting. Then you have, I think it's acid punk is a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of that came out of the pop punk thing came ska, which is like reggae.
Yeah, it's called awesome.
/ punk rock.
Sublime.
Which is cool.
So Knuckle Puck, what subgenre are they?
Now, I think they're actually considered emo. Because what happened with emo music,
I could see that.
When you and I were kids, emo music was
AFI.
Well, yeah, AFI.
I listen to shit at AFI.
Alisana, I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
Alisana. I think the pinnacle of emo music for me was what is that band called? It's the most emo band I've ever heard in my life. No, they also are technically emo now too, or they are emo. Is might be, tenses are weird. Hawthorne Heights.
Okay.
Hawthorne Heights is the most emo that you can get.
I can see that, like, because I love them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They're kind of whiny.
Yeah.
And emo.
Well, Taking Back Sunday, Hawthorne Heights. I mean,
Taking Back
just
Sunday.
that whole.
Fucking love Taking Back. I eat that shit.
Just that whole emo subgenre, if you want to call it that came out of that whole old school punk stuff. And then you have pop punk, and I did air quotes under the table, so pop punk, All Time Low, some of those other bands that are still considered emo, if you want to call it that, but no.
I wouldn't say that All Time Low is emo.
Well, it was early pop punk, then I told you pop punk became emo.
They're like, if I had to put them in a genre, it would be stadium punk.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But like technically Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy are also considered emo bands now too. Panic especially is considered emo band.
Dude, it's like gospel.
Dude, he's so good though. Like Brendan Urie,
gospel
it's just
music.
this diva.
I love it.
This majestic diva.
Yeah, I want to be in that level someday.
it's like Panic at the Disco is one of those few bands that as they evolved, I didn't start to hate them. Fall Out Boy,
Hate them.
like they just dropped a new record. It's straight garbage. And I
Old stuff.
hate it. Take This to Your Grave, which is their debut record, was amazing. Very punk, very, and then of course one of them made famous Under the Cork Tree, which masterpiece.
Absolute.
And then Infinity on High was really, really good. And then Fall Out Do was also really good. It's a bit different. And then they came back with Save Rock and Roll. And I'm just like, that you have Courtney Love on your record. You guys are the worst people known to man. But I told you they redeemed it because it's that same record that's got Elton John at the very end.
That's kind of cool.
So, but no, the intro for that Courtney Love song, she says, "It's Courtney, bitch." And I'm just like, ah! Because,
She killed Cobain.
yeah. Or Cobain's like, fuck this bitch, and kills himself. I wasn't sure if I was going to make that jump. I figured,
it's been long enough.
Might as well. But no, I'm just...
She killed my boy.
She killed my boy.
Fucking love Nirvana.
I've had this discussion with Maddie that I just can't really get into Nirvana. I missed that window. Don't give me that face.
What?
I like them and I appreciate them, but I can't listen to a whole record front to back. It's just
You're living wrong.
It's just not my
Do
thing.
what you're doing, just less shitty.
Just better. Do what you're doing, but better. No, I appreciate what Kurt did. I appreciate what he did for music as a whole, and Dave Grohl.
Grunge. Oh,
yeah.
God, grunge.
The thing is, in my opinion, grunge was born and died with Kurt Cobain. Anybody that's done after that is just a copycat. And I like it, like I said, but I think when I got into Nirvana, or when Maddie showed me Nirvana or whatever, I was just at a different, I was in a different place. I was less open to genres of music than I am now. I'm pretty open-minded with that kind of stuff.
I'm starting to fall back into metalhead status.
I mean,
I got in the shower. I got in the shower today. I told you that, and you said good job.
Way to hygiene, bro.
I got home and I took a shower, and usually what I have been doing is when I get in the shower, I'll take a little Bluetooth speaker and I'll listen to my punk bands, like the Wonder Years,
my boys,
and sing in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
I went straight for the throat. Devil Wears Prada.
I love Devil Wears Prada.
I do too. They're fantastic.
Well, I gotta tell you guys, the whole. Okay, so this is the last year for Warped Tour, right?
Yep.
Last year is the last cross country. They've kind of really pushed that. So I think what will end up happening is pop-up festivals, or it'll run, major cities. So you'll probably still have it in Chicago. You'll still have them, of course, West Coast. You'll have probably one on the East Coast, but it's not going to be a big, because if you look at the tour dates, it's a lot, because you go all over the U.S. and then you go up to Canada. They've started adding Canada into some of that, and so it's this big thing where they actually do. They typically do, I think, Chicago, and then there's another city in Illinois they do, and then they hit Indiana, and then they almost always immediately go up to Canada right after that, and then I think they double back and hit Michigan and some of the other states before they finish the tour. And it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's all summer long. I mean, it's this crazy.
Can you imagine
long
being
tour.
a vocalist in?
Oh God, no! I've always wanted to play Warped Tour, but good God.
Good God.
I want no part.
There have been nights where I do a show and that night I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Done.
And I think it says a lot about the bands that they have on Warped Tour, especially metal bands. Fuck, I don't know how you guys are even still doing that, but okay. But no, we should talk about, there is a petition going around that once Warped Tour said it's the last one. The petition is for My Chemical Romance to get back together to do the last cross-country Warped Tour. Here's the thing. What the petition is kind of like is they've specified things. They want it to end with Helena's "So Long a Good Night" as the last moment of the tour.
That would be beautiful.
And I was lady who cuts my hair. 'Cause yeah, I got a nice.
Yeah, you got a fresh cut.
Yeah. So shout out to Fade Salon and Cody
I think
Williams.
I might be getting a fresh cut tomorrow.
Yeah. Where you going?
Probably not fade.
No, you're a terrible person.
It's an hour drive.
I know. Anyway, so me and Cody were talking about that, and
I can't justify an hour drive for a cut.
that's fair. I just happen to live in the same town she does.
Yeah.
So, but no, she's an old school emo kid too, and so we were talking about bands like that, and she's like, yeah, like they shouldn't even let kids go. It should just be all these 20-something former emo kids. Like you have to be at least 20 to get in the door. Because I will not hesitate to drop kick a 16-year-old, right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, dude, I've not seen my camp live. I mean, I need to be right there in the front. I'm gonna wear eyeliner, whole thing. It's gonna be a big deal.
You can fuck off, kid.
You can fuck off, kid.
It was like me with Toy Story. When Toy Story 3 came out,
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
I don't give a fuck, 6-year-old. I've been waiting 11 goddamn years for this movie.
That's 100% me with.
I feel that.
Well, the new Incredibles is coming out. It's my
How
point.
long has that been?
I
That came out in like the early 2000s, right?
don't know. Let's
Google.
find out.
Google. You glorious bitch, you.
Love Google.
It's so late. I have to work in the morning.
You'll be alright. I believe in you.
I'll be alright.
Okay. So,
When did it come out?
I'm looking. Okay, The Incredibles came out 2004.
2004.
So it's been, what, 12 years?
2004.
Oh, shit. Math. Math is hard.
20. That's not right.
Well,
Is it? No.
10 years would be 2014.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. My brain was like 94.
14 years.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's been 14 years.
Nah.
14 of them. 14 years.
That's shitty.
Yeah. But at least it's happening. Better late than never.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But yeah, the back to the Warped Tour thing. I mean, there's, according to Kevin Lyman, who is the guy who runs Warped Tour, has kind of said, hey, we're going to have some big acts. It's going to be a big deal. And one guy, retweeted something, and then Kevin Lyman, messaged the guy on Twitter and was like, I think you're going to really like these bands that are, because the lineup's already chosen. It's already done. They announced it on the 1st of March, I think. And so this other guy started going through this guy's Twitter page trying to see what Kevin possibly meant by that. Excuse me. And some of the posts that he had were Beartooth,
Love Beartooth.
Paramore, some of the early, and then so there's been all this speculation of who's going to do it. I'd love to see Motion City get back together to do it. So you would have, of course, the old school. Simple Plan is another potential. Is another big possibility or theory right now for who might be on this tour.
I love Beartooth. They are dirty. They are dirty garage metal kids.
I haven't listened to enough Beartooth, and I'm that way with a lot of bands where I need to. I tend to I like so much music and so many different genres of music that I don't ever really have the time to sit down and just listen to a record all the way through. I should, and I do that on occasion, but it's not very often. But the Wonder Years, I listened to the new record all the way through, which was amazing.
Fantastic. Phantasmo.
Phantasmo.
I venture to say.
I could say.
I could say Phantasmo.
Oh, okay. So, crash course people and what's going on with your girl. I like doing the just for that face.
It's going super good, I think. On my side of things. I don't know what she's thinking. 'Cause half the time she doesn't say what she's thinking.
Well, like
She's watching this. She's gonna watch
She's
this.
gonna watch this.
Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey.
That text you showed me earlier was like, ugh, you guys are cute. It's gross.
Yeah, I think we mesh pretty well.
No, you do. I mean,
I think we complement each other.
you guys have a really good balance.
Yeah.
She's pretty introverted, and you're not. And like
You're not.
and I think
You're
that
the opposite.
You're the opposite of an introvert, and I think that it balances really well.
Yeah. I like her a lot.
So she seems. I mean, she hasn't talked shit about us, from what I understand. So she doesn't.
No, she likes you guys.
You're like, nah, but shut up, because she might not like you guys. Don't say anything.
No, she likes you guys. She does.
But yeah, man.
I want her to come out with us sometime, but she works on the weekends like a big idiot. Sorry, it's not your fault.
Yeah, it is. Do your life.
I'm going to meet some. She's gonna. Okay, I'm meeting her cousin. I think it's like a slow trickle
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
into the fam.
Yep.
I'm kind of nervous. It's been so long since I've had to meet family.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I mentioned this to somebody too when it comes to dating and stuff. It's like I hate the whole premise of dating, because you have to meet family, and then you have to like go to other like Christmases and shit, and like right.
As long as I can be drunk the whole time, I'm okay.
Because like I used to make this joke that because my family and I are pretty close. So I have my dad's side, we still do their Christmas. My mom's side, we do that Christmas. And then we have one for just my brother and my parents, and of course my brother's wife and my niece now. But so I do like 3 Christmases all like in the span of a few days. So then when you add a significant other to that, and then if they also do something similar where they have a couple of different Christmases, it's just a lot. It's just a lot to do.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm just gonna date an orphan. I think that's I think that'll just like, as sad as that is, it's like, you can just hang out with my family, and then we don't have to go anywhere.
My holidays get really hectic because my parents are split up.
Okay.
So it's like I've got Christmas with mom.
Nope.
And stepdad. I've got Christmas with dad and his girlfriend, and then their family.
Yeah.
And then I kind of sort of got out of it this year with Aaron because we did that. So like I love her family, so which kind of sucked.
Yeah. It's kind of the nature of the beast, though. That's one of the shitty things about breakups as a whole, is because if you're close with your family, you kind of it's weird to be like super close. Like I know you and her dad are like pretty chill.
Yeah.
But like
I love her dad.
It's not something where you're gonna go to cookouts and shit at their house.
Yeah. How do I put this and not sound like a total asshole? I mean,
I'm a professional asshole, so
I think that this whole situation was a blessing in disguise, because I have not been this happy
without trying to be a dick
in like a year.
Some of that's a new relationship, so it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be the puppy dog thing. But
like the thing is like there's nothing to maintain there. There's no maintenance.
True.
Like, of course we haven't been seeing each other for very long.
Yeah.
But, like at this stage, there's like not a whole lot of maintenance.
Well, and some of that too. And I think I mentioned this before, that dating as an adult is hard, but when you date as an adult and you have your shit together, the balance I think is better, because you guys both have your own lives.
Right, yeah.
You're both self-sufficient. You're not like, because the girl that I was with for so long, we also dated in high school, and I knew you and your girl, your ex-girl, also dated in high school, and there's just a different dynamic now, and I think that's why you seem to be much happier, because you got your own shit together, and then the other person then complements your own shit instead of...
Well, I even mentioned to her, like, there are times where I'm at work and, like, she'll text me, text, but I'm up to my eyeballs in shit to do. So I'm like, oh, cute text. And I put my phone down, and I would text her for 4 hours, and she's not like,
why aren't you texting? Why aren't you talking to me?
she's like, cool, bro, you're busy.
Cool,
and I'm like,
no worries.
Dang, girl.
That's called being an adult.
Dang, girl. You fucking cool as shit.
Oh, God.
She's cool as shit.
She is cool as shit.
She is cool as shit. She wears those ripped pants. Oh.
I have to mention, I mentioned this to you, I haven't mentioned it to them, that she shows up to this party, and, like, she's wearing this, like, this sweater, like, off-the-shoulder sweater,
Yeah.
which is, like, it's a very fancy sweater, but then she was wearing,
ripped black skinny jeans
and Doc Martens.
Doc Martens,
Yes.
that's right, yeah.
So, like, she was, like, from the waist down, she was super punk rock. But from the waist up, she looked like she could have been going to like a Christmas
She's
thing.
got that little hair shape.
She's super punk rock.
Oh,
and I totally approve.
Wonderful. I took her to the Sinking Ship in Indy.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And it's a super metal hole in the wall. So if you're like a metal kid, go. The Sinking Ship. It's on College Ave. Go. But when she pulled up, she was wearing like a pullover hoodie.
I love it.
Skinny jeans.
I love it.
And the checkered slip-on Vans.
Yes. No, I know it wouldn't go well, but like I saw a girl on Tinder who was like super emo, and my inner emo kid was like, match with her. You got it.
Super light.
because like I don't know, it's just you know I like some of the hair trends that are coming back, like the multicolored hair and stuff like that. But like I mentioned to Cody when she was getting my haircut, and I was like, you know, I feel like I could do that. I feel like I could rock like purple hair.
Fuck it.
And I was like, nah, I'm too old for that. I'm too old for purple.
I like the gray fox thing you got going on.
Dude, I took off my hat today, and I'm walking in there, and the top's starting to get more gray. And so I took it off, and she was like, can we talk about your gray hair? It's like, Cody, I thought you weren't going to mention it. I thought we were cool. And she's like, yeah, you took it off. And I was like, wow, that's a lot more than that. I haven't seen her in like 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks, and there was a noticeable increase in gray hair.
Maybe it's the house.
Well, some of that when I actually have product in it, it's less noticeable on top. But yeah, if I just let it air dry, I look like I'm a few steps away from being Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and I'm kind of okay with it.
Gray fox.
I mean, I'm not losing it, so I guess that's pros and cons. Marty, great Scott. Okay, so we need to jump right into this because we are starting to condense the episodes a little bit to make it a little bit more palatable. So the YouTube videos aren't an hour and a half because I know people don't have. That's a whole film.
Get your shit together. Watch an hour and a half.
Together. And we'll see how far this runs and go from there. So, Austin wanted to talk about conspiracy theories because...
That's all I've ever wanted.
And then what, is it Matt Rogers?
Matthew Rogers.
Said, give me conspiracy theories or give me death. And
yep.
So, okay.
We're going to come out swinging with 9/11.
We're going to come out swinging.
Okay, I need to preface with... I love America. I'm a patriot.
Okay, so what? But before you go into that, I feel like it's important to note that the conspiracy theories for 9/11, because I've done a lot of research into it too. We're not saying that it didn't happen or it necessarily didn't happen
the way that they said
the way that it said that, but we are saying that there's a lot of evidence to the contrary of the story.
Evidence, girl.
Of the story that was told that it was terrorists versus, basically in quote unquote inside job. We're gonna lose a lot of viewers for this.
We don't have very many anyway, so
it's fine. It's fine. So the go ahead with what you were gonna say. You can go ahead and start this.
Okay. Preface. I love America.
I love America.
God damn it, America.
God damn it, America.
You're a woman. But there's a lot of just like I said last week. Just take your patriotic boots off for 5 seconds and just listen.
Well, like, and I mentioned this before, what a lot of people don't realize, and I've actually looked into it, and this has happened more than once, the one I can think of offhand, Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, the British government knew that the Japanese were going to bomb Pearl Harbor before it happened. Now, they did not tell us, this was a declassified document that came out, I don't know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever. And what had happened, it might have been earlier than that, but what had happened was the British government and a few other countries were like, hey, Nazis are kind of getting out of control. Maybe you should get involved. And we're like, nah, bro, we ain't about that life. We ain't trying to get involved in a conflict. And then Pearl Harbor was going to happen, and the British intelligence intercepted, I guess, Japanese communique, fancy words, about the attack that was going to happen. Refused to tell us about it because then it happens. They bomb Pearl Harbor, and then we're like, "Fuck yeah, let's get involved and kill some Nazis." And that's the push that we needed in order to get not only congressional approval, but
it's a chess game.
Yeah, public approval in order to get us to Europe to fight the Nazis. But the British government specifically did not tell us in order to push us into World War II. And then we fought and killed some Nazis.
And we won. Victory. Speaking to that, Pearl Harbor and stuff, I'm sick and tired of helping other people. God damn it. I'm so fucking tired of it. Okay, this is why. Because, I think it was 30 some years before Pearl Harbor, in the early 1900s, we supplied Japan with a shitload of metal.
Okay.
Guess what they used to build planes?
Metal. Well, I mean, that goes back to, if you want to get specifics about the most recent war on terror,
we supplied weaponry
but it was for other conflicts. We have been helping out Syria. We've been helping out a lot of the Middle East by sending them shit,
by training them and giving them weapons.
Exactly, and then they turn around and use those same weapons
20 years later.
But then people's are you have people like we armed ISIS, we armed Al Qaeda, and people we didn't arm Al Qaeda, they're terrorists. And it's like, where the fuck do you think they got in force? Where the fuck did they get half the shit? Because the way the military, and you can attest to this, we just, when we're in any conflict whatsoever, it's too expensive to bring back materials, tanks, etc., we drop them in and then just fucking leave them there. And the Russians did it, and you're about to laugh about the joke from last week. The Russians did it. Matter of fact, there was an instance recently, and I say probably 3-4 years ago, where ISIS got a hold of some leftover, they were Russian jets from the 70s. They got a hold of them, fixed them up, and decided they wanted to go toe-to-toe with our jets, which I think the F-16 was still in operation, or still is in operation, and we just fucked them up. We've had a legit dogfight since World War II, except for the occasional here and there. They scrambled their jets, showed up, and we're like, nah, dude.
No.
So I don't even know. We couldn't have sent out that many because that just feels like a waste of fuel. But they show up. We're like, okay, let's go get them, boys, and just shot them out of the sky because a jet from the 70s versus top of the line military next level shit just fucked them up. It's like, no, don't come into my house swinging a gun around. You're liable to get shot.
Don't come into my house with a musket.
Right.
Don't blow you away.
I was with a musket. I'll fucking bring an M4. It's like going to going back to the Revolutionary War with all the tech we have now. That's exactly what that's like. So people roll up with cannons, we roll up with fucking tanks and shit. Nah.
You don't stand a chance.
It's not gonna happen.
Muskets give you a lot of time to cool off.
Which is why there's been a lot of people pushing for like more common sense, and that phrase gets thrown around a lot. Common sense gun laws, because the gun laws that were put into place originally were when we had muskets.
Oh,
You
fuck
know.
off.
No, but that's true. That is the
point of the Second Amendment is so that we can be equally matched. That's the point.
But the irony behind that statement is the fact that the government has drones and shit. Even if you armed everybody with everything that is consumably available.
So what happens when Russia decides, oh, we're just going to invade that hunk of dirt now, and now nobody has guns? Then what?
Why would they need to?
What do you mean, why would they need to?
Trump makes out with Putin like on the daily, I thought.
Trump ain't always going to be there, big boy.
I'm just making a point. We're getting off topic.
Anyway, 9/11. Piss me off.
I'm just fucking with you.
I love guns. I love shooting guns. I love owning guns.
And that's cool.
I love cleaning guns.
I have no problem with that. That my issue is the fact that that kind of stuff really it's been updated a little bit, but like in the 30s, because I'm assuming because of the gangsters using Tommy guns and stuff, Tommy guns became illegal. That's when you had the automatic weapons ban. That came out of the 30s, which I'm assuming has to do with like John Dillinger and a lot of those bank robbers, these legends of the 30s, because they just killed so many people so fast. And but because of bans and stuff like that, you have the creation of bump stocks.
There's a ban on automatic weapons, period. You can't have an automatic weapon.
But that's what I'm
and
trying
I get that.
That's what I'm trying to say.
There should be no reason for you to slap a 150 round magazine onto a fully automatic weapon and just spray.
I mean,
and a bump stock, you can suck my dick. That's not automatic.
No, it's technically it's not. With enough practice, you can empty a magazine really quickly. Not as quick as like a Tommy gun or something like that.
Right.
However, but my point is that
I read a thing once. Where it was talking about it was like right after the Jason Aldean concert shooting. Some news place that had no fucking idea what they were talking about released this article on all the attachments you can put on an M4.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they put on there was a fucking grenade launcher. I'm like, are you kidding me? You can't just walk into a fucking gun store and buy a grenade launcher.
See, but that's where like the specifics get kind of lost in translation, because yes, you can put a grenade launcher on an M4.
You can.
However,
good fucking luck.
Civilians cannot get one. That's no different than like incendiary ammunition. I don't think you can buy. You can buy tracer rounds.
Yeah,
but you can't buy incendiary ammunition.
And a tracer, you can just see where it goes.
Well, exactly. So like you can say, well, you can do this or you can do that for an M4. Well, yeah, you can.
You can.
The military does it all the time. But why?
Why would you do any of that?
That's like, I mean, that's like what C4. It's like, yes, if you know shady people, I'm sure you could get a hold of C4, but you can't just go into fucking Bullseye or some of the other gun stores and just be like, Tannerite's cool, but let me just up it a little bit. Let me get a couple sticks of C4. Sticks? Are they sticks? Is that what they're called? They're blocks.
Sticks. You could get away with that.
Okay, fine. It's fine.
A brick of C4.
A brick of C4.
You can't engage C4 by shooting it.
Yeah,
it's an electronic.
Yeah,
explosion.
I read that because it's there's a detonator pin. It's got because C4 works as an accelerant, and it actually has to have a smaller explosion inside of it for it to accelerate the actual C4 itself. They actually put MythBusters had an episode where they put some in a microwave, still doesn't explode. Mm-hmm. It is the most stable explosive that is used or can be manufactured. Then you got stuff like dynamite and other stuff where you're just like, I don't even know if I want to hold this. I'm pretty sure it's gonna explode.
Okay. Topic. 9/11.
Okay.
9/11.
9/11.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with the. Okay. I'm gonna start with the Pentagon.
Okay.
We're gonna start there
Okay.
and work our way forward.
God.
Okay. So I'm gonna take the reins here for a second.
That's fine.
So there is one single video,
I know what you're
one
talking
single, security camera video that you can see from 9/11. Okay, hold the fucking phone now. Okay, you're talking the most secured building in the entire country,
Right.
and there's one CCV that catches it.
Matter of fact, let's also talk about the fact that there's one CCV and it's also super low res, super low frames.
Oh, awful.
And the thing, a lot of people with that, because I want to get into the money side of it, right? And I'm a big conspiracy theorist. I've become more of a skeptic now than I used to be, which is good. It's good to do your research. Shit.
I'm not sitting here saying that I've got a tinfoil hat on. I'm using your terminology, aluminum foil hat. I'm just saying it's interesting when there's some compelling evidence out there, and it's interesting to view it from a different light.
Well, where I was going with that is it's weird, and if you can do the research into it, anytime the government is like is about to be investigated for like losing money, which happens all the time, they because you can go into like
Where'd
conspiracy.
this $2 billion go?
Yeah, about black budget shit, right? So, and it's weird. Anytime they've lost money, some kind of tragedy happens. Now, I'm not saying there's a correlation there. I just think it's interesting.
Just kind of pretty fucking interesting.
From what I understand, when 9/11 happened and the plane hit the Pentagon, there was, and I say plane, air quotes.
Thank you.
Okay, so when the wall exploded, that the side of the Pentagon that hit is where they keep financial records, and allegedly they were actually about to be under investigation again for missing like $3 billion unaccounted for. Now, hardcore conspiracy theorists talk about black budget shit and stuff that is off the record, off the books, and money gets funneled into stuff because you have the military budget's like, okay, this is how much money that we can spend and this is how much money we have, but then part of that military budget goes missing because the military gets to decide where that money goes. So if there's like $3 billion unaccounted for because it's off the books and black budget stuff that, top secret kind of, alien tech, if you want to even go that far.
Because this shit happens.
Yeah, all the time.
It's real.
All the time. And anytime that there's an investigation, something happens. So somebody looked into it, and I guess the Pentagon was about to be under investigation again for missing money. And then the wall that got hit is that in that section of the Pentagon is where they keep financial records and stuff like that just happened to explode. Like,
shit.
Well, tragedy happened. But my thing with 9/11, specifically the Pentagon, since you brought it up, that building's like what, 2 or 3 stories? It's not very tall.
It's just deep as fuck.
It's deep as fuck, but that wall that got blown out, right? And they're always, a 747 or a 737 or what have you. Do you have any idea how low?
747.
It was a 47. How low have to fly in order to hit it? Let alone the fact that because they are so outrageously heavy.
Okay.
And it doesn't hit anything else. So it's got to fly low. It's not just going to dive in there. It's got to fly low, cruise low, and then hit the building. The problem is those things they're so ridiculously heavy. I don't think there is a single pilot that can fly that low and keep it that low for that long of a period of time to cruise into a building. It's just they're too heavy for that.
Moving on. Pentagon, okay? This one single CCV. You can watch that. That's open source, by the way.
Yep.
You can just hop on fucking YouTube and watch that. I watched a frame by frame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 1 second frame.
Yep.
Next second frame. Okay, so one frame, nothing.
Yep.
Next frame, big ass hole in the wall.
Yes.
That's how that shit panned out. You don't see a plane. It's just nothing, flash,
hole in the wall.
There was a correspondent too that he was the first one on the scene after that happened, and somebody the person in the studio, the news anchor in the studio, was like, "Oh, people are saying it was a plane," and he's like, I don't think it's a plane. There's no plane parts. There's no fuselage.
If you can look at pictures,
there's nothing.
There are pictures on site.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how fucking big plane parts are?
Not to
They're
mention,
fucking huge. You can't miss that shit.
Not to mention the fact that
the tires are bigger than me.
Well, and if you've seen any plane crashes whatsoever, I don't think I've ever seen footage of a plane crash where there wasn't some part of the plane left. The
cabin, fuselage, anything.
Yeah, there's
a fucking turbine.
There's always something left because when planes crash, they break up into pieces. They don't just disintegrate.
Yeah.
Upon impact.
Oh, it melted.
Even if you shoot one out of the sky, the point of hitting a plane with like a Sidewinder missile or whatever. I don't even know if those are still in use, but it's one of the few missiles that I know of. Tomahawk, maybe. Point is, when you hit one of those, you're trying to blow up the plane, but the point is to get it on the ground. Mm-hmm. You take the plane from the sky to the ground. That is the point. It's not just to explode the plane. You just kill the guy, make the plane go on the ground level.
Plane out of sky.
Plane out of sky.
Plane on ground.
Plane on ground.
We win.
That is the.
Let's go home, boys.
That is the point. So you have, like I said, there's no parts. There's no
not a single part.
There's nothing.
Look at the pictures. Google it.
And then, but yeah, the interview that was, because they kept rerunning all those interviews and stuff
all
day. That is the only time that was shown ever again. And then they started to sell the story. Well, it was a plane, and
it was a plane. I watched a digital, basically comparing the size of the hole in the wall to an actual 747.
Yep.
They don't match up.
A cruise missile makes the most sense. And it would move faster than a CCTV.
There's one solid clean hole.
It's a big old hole.
There was one solid clean hole. Also, interesting factoid. No one in the Pentagon was hurt. That whole section that the plane
had nobody in it.
Plane hit, nobody was in it.
Yeah.
It was under construction.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving forward. So planes have wings, right? Clean hole.
Yep. Not
big enough for a 747 fuselage.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because going to 9/11, especially the tragedy, and I also have to say too that we're not discounting that it was a tragedy and that people died, because people did
die. Yeah. It's a tragedy regardless.
Yeah. So,
but the tragedies also need to be investigated.
The thing is, if you're a government and you want to get the people riled up about terrorists or whatever the case may be,
the baddies,
you use the baddies as your focal point. You say, okay, we've been working on this for a little bit. There's bad people, in the Middle East or in this case. And then they're like, oh, well, building just came down and it was the bad people.
It was the baddies.
And then you have you have Congress, you have just outrageous approval across the board. Like, fuck these guys. They came into our house and blew up our shit. Let's go and get them. So now that goes back to Pearl Harbor. Same thing. We didn't want to be involved. We didn't want to be involved in war. And then, Pearl Harbor happens, and then everybody's like, fuck those Nazis. That is exactly what happened. But the minute you say, well, maybe this is kind of, this is sketchy, because so plane hits, right? And I was into some of the early conspiracy theories with well, jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. Okay,
yeah, right,
fine. That's it doesn't melt steel beams or whatever. And then I saw this video where a guy was explaining that no, it doesn't melt steel beams. However, when steel gets hot enough, it gets soft, and then the weight can crush lower floors. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with looking at evidence, saying, hey, this is, this doesn't make sense. Here's actually what happened. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. And I'm fine with, but it doesn't explain not only the interviews of people, firefighters and first responders who were like, we went into the building and there was explosions in the lobby. There's all these secondary after the fact. There was stuff that went off before the building came down. So the plane hits the top of the tower, right? Heat goes up.
Towards the top.
Towards the top. Heat goes up, right? First of all, the actual designer of the building was interviewed, and it was designed to withstand a plane like twice the size of the one that hit it, and brush it off like it was nothing. Because these buildings, they're massively tall. They're designed to withstand that kind of shit because they're huge. You know, they're so the plane hits it, right? And I'm even okay with there being so much heat that the top floors fell. Okay, the problem is top floors fall. The bottom floors, based on physics, the bottom floors would eventually stop because the if you watch the video, it all comes down basically
like
at the speed of
controlled
gravity.
demolition.
Yeah, and so if the top floor is the only one that was damaged, it comes down first. It would crush like 2 or 3 floors below it, then it would slow down and stop. The whole building would not come down. Okay. Now, if you say, okay, the plane hit it, and I can even see it toppling over. That makes sense to me because you blow up a top half. There's too much weight up top. There's too much damage up top. Then it tips over. But if you look at the footage, it comes straight down. It does not damage a single building around it at all. And New York is densely packed with buildings. So you want to tell me that a building came down,
A big
ass building came down and did not damage anything else around it? That is
And then Building 7.
Yeah, exactly. Building 7, which is never talked about, also came down, but it wasn't touched by anything. I don't even think it ever got lit on fire. It just came down.
The story was there was office fires that burned hot enough to bring it down. Bullshit.
Here's what bugs me about that too. Because like I said, there's no rubble. Matter of fact, I've seen interviews of first responders where they walked inside at ground zero, okay? And they look up and it's gone. There's not enough rubble there. Even if it was a controlled demolition, there is an outrageous amount of rubble that should be there. They go in, look up, they see sky. There's just the bottom half of the building. There's no rubble anywhere. There's nothing. It's just the bottom half of the building, the lobby, and it's cut off midway, and it makes no sense. To top that off, if you look at all of the vehicles and stuff around the area, have you seen those shots? This is where it gets really weird and starts to get kind of like, real heavy into like experimental tech and stuff like that. So there is a conspiracy theory that the way it came down wasn't a controlled demolition per se. What they're calling is like, I think the term thrown around is dustification, and it's like experiment that disintegrates things. Because, like I said, there's no rubble. There's nothing like there's rubble, but there's not enough for it to be a full size building. It's just there and then it's gone. But if you look around the area, all these cars are just charred, and it's just the chassis, right? All the stuff that is destroyed on these cars was basically anything that wasn't metal. So it looks like they were burnt out, right? But the one photo that got me, and again, there's no way for me to corroborate it that if it's not photoshopped or whatever, it doesn't look to be photoshopped. I should say that. It's a police car. Half of the police car is gone and burnt and whatever. The other half is perfectly fine. And it falls within that. It falls within that radius. There's this radius around the building where basically just destroyed everything. But these cars aren't moved. They weren't on fire, and they're just gone. Like they look like they were on fire, or it looked like they were. You ever seen what happens if you leave a car in like the desert for like 10 years or whatever? Mm-hmm. It just turns into a chassis, right? Everything just degrades and from weather and whatever. There's just the chassis left. This is exactly what it looks like. And it just happened instantaneously. And it just makes no sense. And then you have that police car that's like half okay and then half not okay. You can't say that's a fire. No fire stops midway. There's no other charring. It's like there's a fucking line down the middle, and like half of it's like, nah, dude, I'm gonna be chill. The front of the car is like, fuck. So I mean, you have all that stuff put together, and it's just
little fishy.
it's questionable.
It's just a little fishy.
Especially after you've seen the interviews with the first responders who were like, there was other explosions, there was other stuff going on, and then of course all of this happens, and then government's like, hey, it was it was the Al Qaeda, it was the terrorists, let's go to war, and then everybody's like, fuck yeah, let's go to war. And it's concerning that this happens more often than not, because we can go into we're way over the time that we were supposed to be.
I thought we were getting close.
It's fine. But we have about 10 minutes to shave off about a half hour.
Okay.
But yeah, you can look into what's the other one? The Las Vegas thing, right? One of the issues around that same thing. You have all of these events that happened, but the Vegas thing also doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Mm-mm. Because it was a casino or like one of those hotels, right?
It was a hotel, yeah.
The most security cameras per square foot on the planet, and there was nothing that caught the guy coming in, caught the guy leaving.
And he had a fucking arsenal.
Yeah.
How do you just load an arsenal up into a hotel room?
Exactly.
He was there for 3 days
without anybody paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Not to mention that right after this happened, there was a photo leak that supposedly showed the guy like that he shot himself. So somebody leaked the photos from the FBI or police, whatever. So these crime scene photos, right? Crime scene photos leaked right after they were like, hey, this guy, and he shot himself. But I guess the original story was that the police came in and shot him. So then they changed the story like, well, he shot himself. And then, these photos got leaked from the crime scene, et cetera, et cetera. It felt very organized and very orchestrated. But then I've seen interviews with people who were there who were like, this is just, this is kind of where it gets a little bit fishy as far as like you don't really know how much of the stories that you can trust. But I've heard stories that like there was choppers in the area, that it wasn't just one guy shooting from a window. Now I've seen stories coming out now there's possibly 2 people. And to top everything else off, you got the whole chopper situation that also is sketchy and makes no sense. But would fit with the, because I watched the whole video where the guy compared the sound of the gunfire to the sound of the gun that he allegedly used that didn't match. So we're talking like something big and something heavy that civilians can't just acquire.
Right.
So I'm not saying I don't know what the end game would be. We know the end game for 9/11 was invading the Middle East, but we don't know the end game for this Vegas thing, unless it's just to keep people, make people more security conscious and to give more control to our supreme overlords.
I've watched a few videos on that.
There's a pretty solid documentary about 9/11 too.
Oh, there's a ton of them. Yeah.
Continue.
I get down with 9/11 conspiracy theories. But I've watched a couple of things on the Las Vegas shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all pretty interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not saying that it didn't happen, and I'm not saying like people didn't die, because I mean, obviously they
did die, yeah.
But
it's still a tragedy regardless.
Yes.
But I think that the fact that it was a tragedy shouldn't make us blind.
Exactly.
To what happened. I'm not discrediting or shitting on people that died, because people died.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, shouldn't we try and figure out?
Well, and we're not saying, this could be one of those things where it's just, it's just one of those mysteries. We'll never know exactly what happened. And it could be something where, you don't have anything, it's not an inside job, or it's not a government conspiracy or what have you. But the thing that gets everybody so riled up about 9/11 is the fact that there is a lot of evidence to the contrary of the story that was told, especially because the planes hit. Okay. the fact that the way they hit, how much damage, or the plane just kind of disappears inside the building, which I always find peculiar. But then some of the evidence that says, okay, it was Al Qaeda, is like, oh, here's their passports. That's one of the things that's always bugged me. There's barely any. I mean, there's like nothing of the building left, and you want to tell me that that their passports managed to survive? You've seen a passport; they're made out of paper, and like the wax coating on the outside. So unless, I don't know, they brought like a titanium box with them, it's like, oh, we should put our passports in these so that people will know that we did this thing,
so that we can be found out.
Also, one of the things around that is kind of interesting is the story that was told was people were calling their loved ones from the airplane. This is, I think, one of the other airplanes that was taken. I don't think made it to, because was there three?
There was
because there's that whole movie where the people they diverted one of them.
Yeah, one hit the Pentagon.
Yeah. Two hit Trade Center, and then there was a fourth one, I think.
And there was one that crashed into a field.
Yes, that was okay. So one of the interesting things about that is that the story is that people were calling their loved ones from the plane, right? Well, at the time, you weren't allowed to use a phone on a plane. More importantly, and again, I haven't looked super deep into this, but I did see a pretty informative video about it, that the tech wasn't there. You couldn't actually call somebody from an airplane because the cell phones didn't ping the towers fast enough. So you couldn't physically make a phone call from your cell phone from the plane because of the fact that you could not get a connection consistent enough because it had to ping the towers. Well, the phones just weren't there at that time. And I think they actually tested it. And they took phones from would have been popular in 2001, and they went up on a plane and tried to do it. You get no signal. It does not work because it can't ping the towers fast enough. And so at the same time, they call their loved ones, and because I think there were still phones on the plane at the time, because before they needed to take those out or whatever. But then you have that story, which is starting to lose weight as well. And I don't know, man. And I wish more people were at least open to the idea that maybe the government is doing some sketchy shit. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think it's gonna be one of those things where people are complacent and they don't want to believe that the government would do something like that for an agenda. And to the contrary, we do that kind of shit all the time. And that's just the shit about. That's what bugs me. Stuff that's top secret and like super, off the books and stuff that the government does all the time, that we want to assume that, oh, well, there's no way they would do that. Bullshit. They do it all the time. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Governments are shitty.
Governments are shitty.
They do shitty things.
They do all kinds of shitty things.
Lots of shitty things.
But
shit. Where would we be without government?
Well, there's a lot of places we would be without government.
Yeah.
If you want to get down to the nuts and bolts of it. But yeah, so
9/11 was an inside job.
I think quite possibly it could have.
I think it's definitely a possibility. I think that there is a lot. Looking at it from a different light, there's a lot of evidence to show that we may not know the whole truth. And will we ever? Who fucking knows?
Exactly.
But I think it's interesting. I think it's real interesting. But yeah, this is all that I wrote on the paper. I don't know if you can see it, but it says this is the episode where we talk about 9/11. That's all it says.
Oh God. Well, I think we're pretty much out of time.
Yeah, I'm super tired.
Yeah, I can see
it's
that.
1:30. I have to work.
So yeah, so we're sitting right about an hour. And like I said, we're going to try to condense them a little bit more. This one just kind of got away from us a little bit.
9/11, bro.
Next week, I'd like to talk more about, because we're in the theme of conspiracy theories. I'd like to talk a lot about some of the alien conspiracy theories. I know we talked about it a little bit, but there's some pretty heavy shit, especially with stuff that's been going on lately too. So.
Yeah. Aliens.
Yes. Aliens. So yeah, that'll be it for us. Join us next week for aliens. So yeah, I'm Logan Taylor.
Austin Merrill.
See you next time.
Whoever is generating semi-musical noises on the bridge will please cease such activities immediately. I guess that